Well, hi folks, it's Vegematic here, and as you can see, I'm lying in bed. And why am I lying in bed? Because what the fuck else am I gonna do? Here I am. This is the Vegematic bed in, and I'm encouraging everybody out there to get into bed. Stop destroying the planet. Just get into bed and relax. This is something we all need, and as I get older and I realize that my life is shortening, my telomeres are going in kind of weird directions, that really what I need to do is just stay in bed. I remember in 1970, I was 13 years old in 1970, living in the Montreal suburb, and John Lennon and Yoko Ono came to town and had a bed in. And all the press went crazy ridiculing them, the bed in for peace. But you know, they had something. It's true. When you just give it all up and lie in bed, something magical happens. I'm just trying to figure out what that is, but I'll let you know once I find out. I realize the world is totally fucked, and this is why I think that the best place for all of us to be is in bed. Just give it up. It's just hopeless. We're losing. Today in Toronto, a van drove into a crowd of pedestrians out having a lovely time in the spring sunshine after a long Canadian winter. And this kind of horror. And I'm not sure what happened yet and who's responsible, but that doesn't matter. It's just a good reason, another good reason to give up and stay in bed. This is my plan for the rest of my life. I will give up and stay in bed. So I just found out this crazy bastard that ran down, I don't know how many people, killed 7 and injured many more. The reason he did it, he couldn't get laid. Seriously, that's what seems to be coming out. I initially thought it was one like maybe somebody that was like a Canadian jet had dropped a bomb on somebody's family, and I thought that's what was happening. But no, it was just because this guy couldn't get laid. He felt entitled to snuff out the lives of innocent people simply because he had a boner. I'm sorry. This is beyond despicable. I don't know what's happening. When I was growing up, Toronto, I grew up in Montreal, but Toronto was always Toronto the good. You didn't have a lot of the usual problems that large metropolitan areas do have. But now it's just part of this totally screwed up world that we're all part of. And it's a reason for me to just want to stay in bed. So this is my personal bed in for peace, for environmental justice. I'm just going to stay in bed, and I'm going to get up to have meals, and obviously, but I think I'm just going to stay in bed for peace. So what does it all mean? I have no idea. As I said in my last video, we are all compost, but compost produces new life, and so in the molecules that do not die, there is new life springing forth. So perhaps we're not as lost as we think we are. So are we all just lost souls floating in a fishbowl year after year? Sometimes it feels like that. And that's why I'm spending the day in bed. I refuse to cooperate with the oppressive machine. I refuse to do anything but stay in bed. Why, you might ask? Well, I have a generous supply of alcohol and cigarettes and other things that make me happy. So why should I get up? Why should I bother? Can I possibly hope to change some little corner of the universe by being in bed and posting this on YouTube? Fuck no. It means nothing. Because we all mean nothing. We're just dust. We're just compost. So being compostable is not a bad thing. My friend Deanne said that being compost isn't a bad thing because you could have your ashes turn into be planted a flower or a tree and contribute that way. Since we as humans really are just a destructive species, and perhaps the great culling of the human race due to climate change will make more people just stay in bed and not do stupid things anymore. He said, inhaling deeply upon his cigarette. And I make these videos. Why? Well, primarily because I didn't get enough attention as a child. But aside from that, I like to communicate. I'm very isolated intellectually where I am in my life right now and at my age. And I would like to reach out to others who feel the same way. There's so much depression. Everybody's depressed. Fuck. I tell you, depression is becoming the normal state for human beings these days. At least human beings who aren't complete brain dead idiots. If you live in this world, right now, in 2018, you're going to be depressed. So in spite of all the pills you might take or the herbal remedies and everything, and nothing really helps other than just staying in bed and saying fuck it. So I'm urging everybody for one day. Can you imagine really if everybody in America, in Canada, in Mexico stayed in bed for one day and shut down the whole machine? It's kind of funny to think about those things because it really would shut down the whole machine, at least for a small amount of time. And perhaps that would be a display of power, of we as the people are not going to take it anymore. We're just going to stay in bed. We're not going to buy shit. We're not going to put gasoline in our vehicles. We're not going to go to work and slave at some meaningless petty job. No, just for one fucking day, we're all going to stay in bed. So if you're into the bed in for one day, then jump in. There's lots of room. We can all just stay in bed for one day. Shut down everything. Tell them, no, we're tired of the war machine. We're tired of this nameless, faceless corporations running the world. We're just not going to do it. We're going to stay in bed for one day. Can you imagine the airlines shutting down, the military not being able to carry out their death missions? And just stay in bed one day. Everybody stay in bed. Well, perhaps it's just a silly dream, but it's worth thinking about. What if we all just stayed in bed for one day? It's like Lenin did, right? I mean, there was a certain wisdom behind that. I mean, sure, it was a little bit of the crazy 60s thing, but if everybody just stayed in bed for one day, maybe they'd realize what's important in life. And it's not striving for things. It's being warm. It's being well fed. It's being loved by another human being. Is that so much to ask? There's so many forces that work against that. So to all my wonderful YouTube friends, I will wish you a happy day. A happy day of just spending the day in bed. And to those of you who think that this is perhaps a ridiculous way to approach things, you're right. But is it any more ridiculous than letting the people that are running this planet into the ground run it into the ground? It's no more ridiculous. So if we're going to be ridiculous, let's be comfortable while we do this. And let's stay in bed for a day. This is Vegematic signing off for tonight. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have the guts to post this in the morning. Several beers kind of have loosened my tongue, and I'm just ashamed of myself sometimes. So everybody have a great tubular day, and I'd like to see more videos of people just lying in bed, just like Brian Wilson did. Greetings, all of my new subscribers, my old subscribers, my good friends, pushing me towards the magic number of 1,000, where I will be able to say, I'm not going to fucking monetize it anyway. So, I've learned something about G+. Now this is those of you that use an ad blocker, and I don't blame you, we all use ad blockers because ads are horrendous. If you're going to post to G+, disable your ad blocker, like especially if it's a video from YouTube, because what I found is that if you have your ad blocker on, they figured out a way so that you can't have a thumbnail on a video. So of course, people scrolling down just don't notice it. So here's a hot tip for YouTube users: disable your ad blocker when you want to share something on the Googler network. They're gonna hate me even more after this. For fuck's sakes, how many years do I have to do this, Google? How many times have you let me down? How many times have I tried to love you, Google? But I can't. You won't have it. You don't love me back. You suppress my views. You remove views from my videos. You don't let me show up in the people that subscribe to me. Google, what did I do to you? What is so bad about the Vegematic channel? Are you afraid? Look at me. I'm in bed. I'm an old man. I have an old man. I'm wearing old man pajamas. I'm wearing an old man robe. I'm really not harmful in any way to your tubular universe. I'm just letting you know because I know that you hate me. I know that you don't want me to get out there. I understand this, and that's okay. Because sometimes I slither under the radar. Good night, everybody. Pleasant dreams. And stay the fuck in bed. Just don't go to work for one day. Just don't go to work. Call in and say, I've got too much stake in what's happening in the world to go and do my stupid job today. So stay in bed, relax, and if you get fired, well, how could they fire people if everybody just for one day stayed in bed? You got books you want to catch up on, you have people you want to contact that you haven't talked to in a while perhaps. Just stay in bed. Just staying in bed could shut down the entire machine for one day. Just putting that out there. Good night, everybody.